Hey everyone, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. So today's weather is overcast, so the lighting might look a little grayish. I'm right in front of a window, so sorry about that if it kind of looks weird here. But it also kind of looks a little moody, so kind of going with it. So this video is for you if you have your Saturn in Cancer, and I'm calling this series What Success Means to You based on your Saturn placement. So Saturn in Cancer, it's a pretty challenging place to have your Saturn fall into because Cancer naturally opposes Saturn in astrology, because Cancer is the opposite of Capricorn, which is the sign that Saturn rules over. So Saturn doesn't know what to do when it's in Cancer. And Saturn is about structure and form, like the physical form, the seeing the actual material results of your success, because that's what Saturn does. It materializes your progress, basically. So when it comes into any water sign, the success is something that is intrinsically, is that how you say it? Intrinsically felt internally. It's felt internally, basically. Because water signs aren't tangible signs. Like, we can't physically feel water. So the forms of Saturn are kind of felt on an emotional level. And the way that they affect others, since Saturn is kind of displayed for the world to see in our chart, other people feel the emotional effects of our Saturn success, because it's kind of like we give it to others emotionally, on an emotional level, if that makes sense. So when it's in Cancer, success to the Saturn in Cancer person is about emotional understanding, because Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the moon is your emotions and your past and your family. So a lot of the success that is felt for the Saturn in Cancer person is about restructuring your past and healing from your past, healing from your own emotions, restructuring your emotions. And Cancer kind of shows us our habitual emotional patterns, and because again, it's the moon. So Saturn there makes you work on formalizing these. It can be pretty hard for a Saturn in Cancer to actually change their emotional, subjective views of the world and of themselves. So that's part of your lesson, and part of what brings you the success that you're seeking is delving into yourself and your past and how that shaped your subjective views and your emotional responses, understanding these and either making them something solid if they're working for you. Like, you have to evaluate them, first of all. Saturn wants you to delve in there and evaluate this on a very deep emotional level. And you'll either, if you find that any emotional responses work for you, you'll have to make them solid and resilient to other emotions that might feel chaotic. Like, you have to, it's almost like self-soothing in a way. Like, you have to develop healthy emotional coping patterns and healthy emotional habits. So anything that doesn't work for you emotionally has to be restructured. And it can be hard because Saturn almost stunts the emotional expression of Cancer, because Cancer is a free-flowing emotional sign. Saturn formalizes things and makes things almost caged in, so the emotions aren't able to just naturally flow out of you. And part of the challenge and the success, the progress that you see, is when you are able to reconnect with your emotions at all. So the restructuring comes after you've evaluated them, but the evaluation comes after you've actually reconnected with those emotions that you have. And a lot of it comes from understanding of your past and what you inherited from your family, from your roots, from your upbringing, how all of that has shaped you. So it's a lot of childhood healing here, but not like kind of healing your inner child, but not in the Leo creative sense. It's more of like the emotional sense, like that, the nurturance that you got. It's about re-nurturing yourself, about confronting your emotions that have been repressed based on the past environmental circumstances that kind of taught you to repress them. And it could be you too, like it could be yourself that kind of told yourself to just hold all of this in. So that repression causes fear and a sort of shame around emotional expression. And that is one of those coping mechanisms that needs to be restructured. And success then for the Saturn in Cancer is felt as confronting emotions without the fear of those emotions. And it can be hard. Like, I think that this Saturn placement is kind of not that it's like the worst ever, but I mean, because no Saturn placement is all good or all bad. But I do feel like this one has like a tint around it of sadness. Just because emotions are hard to deal with when Saturn is influencing your emotions in your chart. But I think the success for the Saturn in Cancer looks like emotional resiliency and a strong, solid as a rock connection to your emotions and understanding emotions on a very deep level, to the point where you learn how to self-soothe, you learn how to find emotional nurturance in yourself. Like, you don't always need to seek it out in other things, in unhealthy emotional coping patterns. You're able to recognize, be almost like your own counselor, be almost like your own therapist, where you can recognize emotional habits that kind of keep you from actually dealing with emotional baggage. You're able to restructure those and rework those, and it just creates, really, the bottom line is success for the Saturn in Cancer is about emotional understanding, your emotional understanding and emotional resiliency, and emotional nurturance. So I hope that this kind of helped you understand success for the Saturn in Cancer, and thank you for watching.